summarized, but there is still something else behind charging $200 a game. Well, I began slowly, if we compare games to games, the game is not worth $200. But when compared as education to education, the game is really inexpensive. Just look at how much a college education costs in both time and money. On top of that, you don't learn much about money or investing in school. Also, look at how much it costs for people to lose money in the stock market. That is even more expensive. But the biggest expense of all is the loss of opportunity. So many people want to invest and know they should invest, but they fail to invest simply because they lack the financial education. Not only can this game help a person make millions of dollars, but it can also help a person become financially free. But what about the people who might feel ripped off at $200? Asked Kim. Many people will, and they may never buy the game, I replied. If we price the game at $200, people will have to think long and hard about the value of the game before they buy it. And that is what we want them to do. We want the price to make them think about the value more than just entertainment. And just think of the number of people one game can reach. One $200 game can reach hundreds of people, added Kim. Not everyone has to buy the game. And that is why the sole tactic of our company is to have people play the game, not necessarily buy the game, I replied. People who are serious about their education and pay $200 for the game will be more likely to take the time to learn the game. The only way they can learn the game is to invite others to play. The game immediately begins to fulfill its mission. The more people who play the game and invite other people to play the game, the more the cost per player goes down, and the value of the game goes up. Our only job now is to find that person who values education and is willing to pay for it. We also make the game harder to get, harder for people to find. We will have to be smarter about letting people know how to find us through our website, I added. By keeping access to the game more restricted instead of using mass marketing, we will highlight its educational value. Our focus groups were looking at it as a mass market game, not as the educational tool that it is. And what happens if it doesn't work? Asked Kim. Then we come up with more ideas, I replied. Ideas are plentiful if you're creative. Our strategies are low risk. With the book and the seminars, we should have cash flow from those two strategies so we do not need to sell as many games. In this way, we give the game the opportunity to sell itself, to find its own fans and its own channels of distribution. If it is a valuable product, the plan will work. If our customers do not find the game valuable, we shut the business down. Only time will tell. As stated earlier, the first time the game was played commercially was at an investment seminar in Las Vegas, Nevada in November 1996. In February 2004, when I saw the nearly full-page article in the New York Times, I knew the game had found its rightful audience. We have now sold hundreds of thousands of games, and there are cash flow clubs all over the world meeting regularly to play the game. We have very few complaints about its price. Our return factor is less than 1%. We found the right customers for the game. Develop your marketing plan. The 5 Ps are a simple guideline for your marketing plan. Before you quit your job, remember these important points. 1. There are 3 price positions in any market: the highest price, the middle price, and the lowest price. Decide which price best fits you. Always remember that the middle price may be the most comfortable, but it is also the most crowded. It's hard to be outstanding if you're average. 2. The lowest price leaders do not just lower their price. The winners in the lowest price category do something brilliant in business that their competitors cannot do. For example, Walmart sells the same products many other retailers sell, but Walmart has a far better system of retailing that allows them to make a lot of money with smaller margins. Remember what Rich Dad said, any idiot can drop their price and go broke. It takes a brilliant person to drop their prices, cut their margins, and get rich. He also said, if you choose to compete at the low end of the market, you have to be a better businessman than those who compete at the top. Since I am not that good a business person, I find it easier to compete at the top. 3. If you are going to be the highest price product in your market niche, then you have to give your customers something your competitors cannot give. If you are confused by what high-priced businesses do, then do your homework. Go to a high-priced auto dealer and then go to a low-priced auto dealer, or go to a high-priced hotel and then go to a budget hotel. By taking notice of differences, you find ways of better defining your product and your customer. Know that the higher the price, the fewer the customers, and the more precise you need to be in your marketing. Also, never ask people who shop in the bargain basements of the world what they think of a Rolls-Royce. 4. Don't try to be all things to all customers. If you want the high end and the low end, start two brands. As you know, Honda has its Acura brand and Toyota has its Lexus brand. To me, they look like the same cars, but what do I know? Obviously, the marketers at Honda and Toyota have done a good job convincing the public that they are selling two different cars. As stated earlier in this chapter, marketing needs to fill a customer's wants, needs, and ego. In many cases, ego has more buying power. 5. Instead of discounting down, bonus up. I know people look at the game and flinch at the price. Rather than drop the price, we prefer to add products to the mix and then increase the price of the package. As Rich Dad said, sales equal income. So, rather than cut our price and reduce our margins, which anyone can do, we would rather find ways of keeping our prices while increasing the value and having a satisfied customer. 6. Weak salespeople always want new products to sell. When I was at Xerox, it was always the weakest sales reps who said, if we had new products, I could sell more. Many businesses fall into this trap. When sales are down, they look for new products, which often leads to a phenomenon known as line extension. When line extension happens too much, the customer can become confused because there are too many products to choose from, and your own products can become your competitors. Rich Dad said, instead of looking for new products to sell, look for new customers. He also said, a smart entrepreneur focuses on keeping existing customers happy and looking for new customers to sell existing products to. 7. Look for strategic partners who already sell to the customer you want to sell to. Earlier in this book, I wrote about the three kinds of money: competitive, cooperative, and spiritual. One of the ways to become richer faster with less risk is to be cooperative and earn cooperative money. 8. Treat your best customers well. The internet makes keeping in touch with your best customers easier than ever. The rule of thumb is focus on keeping your best customers happy, because not only will they buy more from you, but they will also tell their friends about you. That is the best kind of marketing of all. It's called word of mouth. When it comes to taking care of your best customers, be creative. One of the reasons small entrepreneurial companies beat the big corporations is simply because a small company can be more creative and be more creative faster. In summary, always remember the 5 P's. Remember that your very special product is important to a very special person. The price of your product must satisfy the person's needs, wants, and ego. When it comes to ego, we all like finding a bargain. Also, many of us like letting people know we spent a lot of money for a product that only a few people can or will afford. So, ego can work at the high end as well as the low end. Where you place your product so your customer can find it is important. Always remember that a new Ferrari will look out of place in a used car lot filled with cheap cars. If you place your product in the wrong place, your sales will suffer. When Rich Dad Poor Dad was first printed, we placed the book in our friend's car wash/gas station in Texas. Why that car wash? Because that was the place where the affluent people brought their cars for a wash and for gas. If we had put our book in a place where people came to buy cheap gas, I believe the books would still be there. The only position you want to be in is in first position. Always remember that most of us know that Lindbergh was the first human to fly solo non-stop across the Atlantic. Very few people know who was second. If you are not first in your category, then invent a new category you can be the first in. When the game was not known, we became the first game to claim the highest priced game category. When Avis realized it was second to Hertz, it took first place by being first to claim to be proud of being in second place, which led to their "We Try Harder" slogan. In conclusion, the most important place you want to be first in is in your customers' minds. For example, when you think of a soft drink, do you first think of Coca-Cola or Pepsi? When your very special customers think of your product category, do they think of you first or your competitor first? Ultimately, the most important job of an entrepreneur is to be first in the mind of your customers.